Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea, a channel for marriage-minded men. Today I want to talk about concerns about marriage that did not keep me from getting married. There's a lot of concerns these days. If you spend any time at all in videos or online, you'll see all kinds of talk about why it's not worth it to get married anymore, and you hear how less and less people are getting married. I think that's a bad thing. I've made videos about wanting to encourage men to get married. So I'm going to go through some points here in this article from marriage.com by Jeannie Sitzma. And they're talking about 5 possible reasons why men might not want to get married, or why men don't want to get married. And I'm sure there are guys that would tell you there's 10 reasons or more that a man might not want to get married. And I'm sure, as in most things, there's some truth in these things. There's some warnings in these points. But by the same token, I would still, get married if I was, still 53 and single like I was back in 2015. We just celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary. I did go to the Philippines to find someone to marry. So overseas is always an option. Please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea and be prepared to leave a comment, get notifications for upcoming videos. So the 5 reasons she mentions, and I'll throw in my thoughts here too. Number 1, don't know if they're in any order, but this could be the top one: fear of divorce and its consequences. Fear of divorce and its consequences. One of the big reasons she says why men don't want to get married is the fear of divorce. I think we can agree on that. With nearly 40 to 50% of marriages ending in divorce in countries like the United States, many men are apprehensive about the emotional toll and financial risks involved. Divorce settlements, alimony, custody battles can be overwhelming, leaving some men to wonder if marriage is worth the potential fallout. They say, for instance, a man who has seen his parents or friends go through painful divorces may hesitate to commit, fearing the same fate. This often leads men to prioritize long-term partnerships without the legal binds of marriage. And that last part there bothers me. Long-term partnerships, and yet some people do that, consider themselves married. This is my wife, this is my husband. No. I've made video on what makes for a valid marriage, and it's not whatever you want it to be. It's not long-term partnerships. It is a legal, binding marriage where you have people there to hold you accountable before God to make sure that marriage lasts until one of you dies. There has to be that commitment level, and these 5 points here will talk about why men are hesitant to commit to that strong of a level. Like there's no way out, no safety net. I think that's the way commitment should be. I'm going to do a video soon on what commitment means and what it should mean. So yeah, we all know someone that's been divorced. So half the people watching this video may have been divorced, and the women you want to marry potentially have been divorced. So everybody that has been divorced has their story, and sometimes it's crippling. Some people handle that rejection better than others. But half the marriages stay together. If 40 to 50% end in divorce here in America, then half of them aren't or haven't yet, and there's no reason to think they will. Just because a certain percentage of people doesn't go well for them doesn't mean that other couples are avoiding those problems by having a different strategy and a different perspective about their marriage. I certainly don't want mine to, and I'm not going to personally pay attention to what people say the odds are of that marriage ending, because as the husband, I feel responsible to make sure that it doesn't. And if it does, I'm to blame. That's the way I think the man needs to look at it. And I'm sure that's going to anger a lot of people, but we only have so much time to go through this video. So be the husband. You propose to somebody, you marry them. Make sure that divorce isn't in your vocabulary, and that you do everything to make sure that it doesn't happen. Number 2, a man's fear of getting married these days is changing social norms and expectations. What does she mean by that? Gone are the days when marriage was a social obligation. Today, many men feel less social pressure to marry as long-term relationships, cohabitation, and even remaining single are more accepted. This shift allows men to explore other life goals without being tied to the traditional idea of marriage. For example, some in their 30s might choose to travel, focus on their career, engage in personal growth rather than settle down. With fewer people questioning their choices, they find no reason to marry. Well, I'm one of those people that question those choices. As a Christian, I go by what the Bible tells me, and it says, whoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. I'd like to have favor of the Lord, but you won't get that if you're a bad husband and you don't love your wife and learn what love means and learn to stick with her through thick and thin, no matter what. Someone living in their 30s, to cite their example, choosing to travel, focus on their career and so on, personal growth, to me is selfish. 30s is kind of late. Now, I got married much later than that, but it wasn't for lack of effort or lack of trying. So, like they always say, she's not going to come up on your door. Yes, you do have to put forth effort to go out and look. Even if you fail day after day after day, you can't quit looking or you won't get married. But these social norms, my norm is the Bible. That's never changed. And yes, people should still get married unless they want to be lonely and live without sex, because you're not having that either if you are single and you do it God's way. So let's move on to something else here. Number 3, financial concerns and career priorities. Financial stability is a major factor why men don't want to get married today, she says. High cost of weddings combined with rising living expenses, economic uncertainties, makes marriage feel like a financial burden for many. So I'm not going to read everything here, although her points are rather, succinct. Studies still show that, research anyway, shows that married people make more, and of course, and married men make more than single men. So there are built-in financial advantages for being married, for sure. Number 4, desire for independence and freedom. I think I'll have a comment on this one. They say for some, the thought of sharing every aspect of life, finances, decisions, and personal space feels restricting. Men who value their independence may see marriage as a potential threat to their freedom. I'll break in here and say it is definitely a threat to your freedom, and it's supposed to be. Back to her comments. For instance, a man used to living alone and setting his own schedule might hesitate to adjust his life to accommodate a partner's needs. While this doesn't mean they avoid relationships, the idea of permanent relationships can feel overwhelming. Nobody said it was easy. Nobody said it's always going to be comfortable. And we should accommodate our life to meet our partners, our spouses' needs. Absolutely. That's what husbands do. Men provide for others. Boys provide for themselves. And the freedom and independence, I frankly feel like I'm better off being married for the last 10 years. I've enjoyed things I would never have done or tried without my wife, to be my partner on those excursions. So that's a good thing for me. Number 5, and again, please leave comments here. I'm sure I'm ruffling some feathers. Number 5, skepticism about the benefits. Okay, that's legit. Lastly, many men question what marriage adds to their lives that they don't already have in committed relationships. I will just interject commitment. Okay, they may feel that love and companionship don't require legal validation, leading them to ask, why get married when everything is already working? I have to interject again. Everything is not already working. You have no commitment from that person. You can leave at any time. I could date them at any time if they wanted to, and nothing you could do about it because there's no commitment you've made. Back to the article, which I really appreciate, from marriage.com. For example, a man in a long-term partnership with shared responsibilities and emotional intimacy may seem no added value in signing a marriage certificate. To him, the commitment is already there, making marriage feel unnecessary. Good last point there. To him, the commitment is already there, but he hasn't committed. I committed to my wife. I proposed to her on day 18. We got married on day 54. On day 35, I went to the Philippines, got there, and we got married in less than 8 weeks. We were married 10 years, and I'll do everything I can to make sure it lasts until I die. And that's called commitment. So you don't have to be, take a look at these issues, but don't be afraid to get married still.